Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Joe Scarice, founder and host of the Creative Birth Strategy Podcast, here on Clubhouse as well as online on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. I want to thank everybody for coming in on this morning. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. Another great discussion. A lot of interesting things happened this week in real estate. We'll try to cover a lot of this information, of course. And again, this is our personal opinion. Again, it's not something that's fact, but I'm pretty excited about what's going on. And it's the perfect timing. The discussion this morning is about a paradigm shift in 2024, and we're seeing it as we go. But I want to thank first our sponsors, of course, Realty 411, Linda Pelagas, our national publication. Abstract National, our nationwide title company. Perkatech, Yardell Perkins, our social media strategist and our Oz behind the drape. And Lendmark Capital, which is your asset-based lending nationwide lender, as well as MB Capital, your unsecured business line of credit service provider. So let's get some invites and some people in. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. But interesting occurrences late yesterday afternoon with obviously the NAR settlement, which, listen, at the end of the day, it's just going to make people work a little harder. And then the ones that are not going to work hard are going to find themselves in a lot of trouble in the market. Okay. You're going to need to be full disclosure. You're going to need be very transparent and obviously extremely professional in your field. I don't think there's something wrong here. I don't see a problem at all. I see an opportunity. So I know people have vast opinions about it. I think it'll work itself through, but it's another paradigm shift that I think is going to be extremely helpful in sharpening the tools for a lot of real estate professionals. Joe, thoughts on the NAR settlement and what you think of it from an investor perspective before we get deep into our discussion this morning?
So, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to read it. That was the thing to do, but I've been on travel this week. I just got in from DC last night.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing a little bit of what I've heard of it going on, there was a lot with the realtors, right? I mean, listen, when it comes down baseline, right, is when your commission is based on how much someone pays, how do you have an interest? How do you have that person's best interest in mind, right? And I think that's what it comes down to. And I agree with the sellers. Like, if you're going to have a buyer's agent, why am I paying for your agent? I mean, realistically, Joe, it comes out of the same pot of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it changes the purchase price any, right? It's still going to change. It's still going to make the cost of the house is what it is. But as an investor, who's an experienced home buyer, I don't need a buyer's agent, right? Mm-hmm. And I've talked to to an agent that I was dealing with to get me into a house. Get me in. Me bringing a listing to you that I'm interested in, right? Because I don't need the MLS anymore. I can find the listings through various platforms. I can even do my own comps on sold right now with that data being available. So I don't need a licensed realtor to actually do any of that stuff for me. I just need the listing agent. Well, right? So if I'm bringing something to a buyer's agent, it's a gift to them.
I think we've been talking about this in so many different directions. I really feel that this entire industry is going through a reconsolidation. I think you're going to weed out a lot of the weak individuals in the field, ones that shouldn't be in the field. They're just not good real estate professionals, and it's going to bring a transparency to the professional. I mean, I really feel having that open discussion about your commission and what you're earning instead of just expected, I think is good. I think it's a good thing. I think all these associations need a reconfiguration. I don't think we need all these associations. I think in the next 5 years, you're going to have one association covering the entire country. I don't think you need all these mini associations. I think it's unnecessary. And I think your MLS is going to go through a reconfiguration. I think your title companies are going to go through a reconfiguration. I think, appraisals are already going through a reconfiguration. I think this is just a starting point. I think this was a necessary evil that's going on in our market, where I think we need this. I think we need to weed out the bad and keep the good working and stay in focus. I don't think it's going to change anything other than complete transparency, and professionalism.
And I agree with you, right? I mean, you look at New Jersey alone, it's all a money grab, right?
Yeah.
You look at New Jersey alone, how many different MLSs are there?
Yeah.
When I could just go on realtor.com and get the entire listings for the entire state. So if you're a real estate agent, you can only go in a certain section based on the MLS that you pay for. So it's all a money grab. Why do you, as a realtor or a real estate agent, need to have that subscription to the Garden State MLS and Ocean MLS and all those other subscriptions when your buyer can go and say, hey, I see this, you're licensed in the state of New Jersey. I see this property up in North Jersey that I want you to get me into.
Yeah.
Well, I can't. I don't have access to that MLS. It's all a big money grab, and
I agree.
It's sad.
Yeah, I agree. Being a CE instructor, I see the money grab as well from the associations. Like, I'll call an association and say, hey, I'd like to provide a complimentary 3-credit CE course on asset-based lending. And like, oh, great, no problem. Oh, sure, you got to join our group. It's $600 because the processing of your application costs $300. I've never heard of that before. And then you got to pay for the room, and then you got to pay for the food. Wait a minute, I'm giving free content and accreditation to your realtors, and you're charging me $1,000? I just don't understand. Well, we don't make any money from it. Well, then I don't know what to tell you. I'll just teach it on my own. And what you're seeing also is small real estate investor groups just eating away at the value of an association at this point, where it's just you're just paying for accessibilities to have your license hung somewhere. I really don't even see the cost benefit relationship, but I digress. Let's get into this discussion. Let's talk about the paradigm shift in 2024. And this is just another small slice. Listen, we've been talking about rates for the last year. I know there's some really false expectations thinking that rates are going to come down. That is for the true unprofessional. The rates are going to kind of stay roughly around where they're at. They closed at 7.09 this on Friday. Not much different. It's been up as high as 7.25. It's been down to 6.85. And I really think we're going to be playing around there. I don't think the Fed feels comfortable in moving this rate down, the Fed rate down, because of inflation, because of layoffs, because of employment, because of economic uncertainty. I think there's a lot of factors that we need to keep in front of us. And I really think that this rate is not a bad rate. It's just, I think we have a very inflated, stagnant real estate market right now. I'm starting to see it loosen up a little bit. I see the days on the market expanding. I see values leveling off. I see another article that we would like to discuss real quick is renters face competitive spring market. What to know about 3 kinds of properties you may see as a competitive rental market right now, okay? Your condos, your eat, work, and live type of environments. The fees are they vary significantly, but people want to be catered. They want to be taken care of. They want amenities. They want to be able to just go home, do whatever they got to do and let somebody else take care of the circumstances. That's a direct competition to the small landlord. It's the institutional landlord versus the small landlord with the single family through 4 family. How do you compete? Okay, you got to look at what's really going on in this market. Where urban settings, the big number right now is looking at Section 8, not market rent. And market rent's turning into Section 8 rent. Suburban markets, it's a mixed blend depending on where you are and what corridor. And then your rural markets are becoming more the suburban markets. Michael, good morning and welcome. Thoughts to our discussion so far on the 6% commission for NAR settlement, and thoughts to the rate and how that's impacting your thoughts with MB Capital right now.
Yeah, no, we were discussing that lawsuit the other day, and it's certainly crazy. It's I think going to be a good thing that now agents going to have to be transparent with commission, as opposed to it just being understood that they make that much on each deal. Everything needs to be negotiated. It needs to be negotiable. So the fact that it's now on the table, I think, will be beneficial for everybody. And then with rates, I do agree with you, Joe. I don't think that they will be going down significantly anytime soon. I mean, we do have an election season coming, so I do predict it going down a little bit more. But I don't think it's going to be where it was prior, because I think that would just destroy the economy as a whole. Everything is still relatively expensive across the board. It's coming down a little bit, but everything is still expensive, and that's just the cost of money at this time. Which I guess brings you to the next point, which is leverage other people's money. In this market, now is the time to take advantage when people are starting to get a little bit scared, and I am seeing an uptick of people coming to MD Capital to try to leverage the business line of credit, 0% interest money on their next deals, as opposed to dipping into their pocket for down payment, for reserves, for rehab costs. They're more or less trying to leverage other people's money. And in this case, it's through the business line of credit, and I've definitely seen an uptick in that in this specific market.
I mean, listen, MB Capital serves a very significant purpose in my environment as a lender. Okay, when I'm talking to somebody and having a discussion, and I feel that they're light on reserves, I'm like, listen, if you make one mistake on your evaluation, you're out of money, right?
If your lender is not asking about liquidity at this time, then you need to talk to a different lender, because you need to make sure that you are liquid. Otherwise, you're pretty much find yourself in a situation where you're halfway through a project and you don't have the funds to complete it. So yeah, a very, very valuable point there, Joey.
Yeah. So what I typically do when I underwrite a client, I typically find out what they have in reserve base, what's their credit score, do they have an LLC? These are very important questions, because if you don't even have that, you're not even at the starting line. I probably have anywhere between 10 to 15 discussions a day to understand the strategy for a client, to really understand what they're trying to accomplish. Because in this paradigm shift, liquidity and movement, being able to make moves quick, there's a lot of money out there right now in the asset-based lending space. There's way more money than in the banking space, in the traditional landscape. You have more money than deals. Right now, a commercial rate, base rate, is less than the bank rate. I spoke with somebody yesterday. I quoted them a rate, and it's a friend of ours, Joseph. And basically, he says, your rate is lower than the traditional lender right now. I said, I know that, because they don't have an appetite to get into this space because of what's going on in the commercial shifting of our market. I mean, we have still, people think everything's going back to normal. Things are not going back to normal. Okay, there's a new normal. Okay, and you need to really take advantage of understanding what that new normal is. I wrote an article on March 13th in regards to our subject today. Predicting specific paradigm shifts in particular years such as 2024 can be challenging due to the complexity of various factors involved. Let's try to provide some general insights and what might impact the commercial real estate economy. The biggest thing is remote work impact. We still don't know how that's all going to shake out. They're trying to force people back to work. Okay, the whole COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the adoption of remote work. It's now a standard. It's now, you're accustomed. I mean, I work remote. My office is in Connecticut. I have an office in New York, an office in Miami. But I mean, my corporate offices are. I mean, I have an office in Philadelphia with Yardell at 17th and Snyder, but I work from my corporate offices of my home at times. Tech integration. I mean, technology continues to play a significant role in reshaping industries in commercial real estate. Technologies like virtual reality for property tours, artificial intelligence for predictive analytics, and blockchain for transactions could become more mainstream. Also, sustainability and green initiatives. With the awareness of climate change and sustainability, there might be an increased focus on environmental friendly buildings. That's where the institutional investors are light years ahead of the small investor. You have to pay attention. Economic trends. Economic conditions greatly influence the commercial real estate market. Factors such as interest rates, inflation, employment levels, and consumer confidence can impact demand for retail, office, and industrial space. I do agree with Michael. I think we're going to see a rate shift slightly in favor of the political running of our next president following Labor Day. I don't think it's going to be that significant to make any major differences, because I think most of the banks and the financial institutions are already buffering for that. But I don't think it's going to make a massive impact in values of properties. Nothing's going to really shift in there until we see additional inventory. And then also that urban to suburban shift. The pandemic, as we've been talking, prompted some individuals and businesses to reconsider urban living and opt for suburban or rural locations. This trend could persist, leading to changes in demand for real estate and commercial real estate in different areas. You're seeing this. The small downtown corridors are making a massive rebound. Everybody was coming back into the cities. Wow, this is going to be great. There's arts, there's medical, there's schools, entertainment, there's food. Everybody took a complete reverse and got the hell out of Dodge. E-commerce impact. The rise of e-commerce has already transformed the retail sector, leading to increased demand for warehouse and distribution space while reducing demand for additional brick and mortar retail space. You're seeing malls getting cut up in half. You're seeing the rural areas where there's massive warehouse being developed in industrial. Regulatory changes. Look what just happened yesterday. The NAR settlement. You're going to see a massive shift in who your real estate agent is. Okay. And then health.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah. And then we'll go to Melissa.
So I was going to say a good example of that is, I mean, on a local level, the Echelon Mall. Yeah. The Echelon Mall is no longer a mall at all. They use it just for the municipal purposes. That's been around forever. But now there's no stores in there. They'd rather keep it empty. Yeah, honestly, that's what it seems like to me. And they have, like I said, it's used for court proceedings. So they're already looking at commercial, infrastructure, and they're using it for other purposes already. Not to cut you off.
No. I mean, listen,
you're seeing it already.
It's already. Listen, you're going to see most of your malls cut in half with medical presence, residential presence. Okay, they just can't afford to sustain themselves. I mean, Simon Mall, which is one of the largest mall owners in the country, you're seeing what they're doing. They're getting into the residential living space. Okay, they're competing with the small landlord. You need to understand, as a small landlord, what to provide that's going to separate you from these institutional investors bringing the eat, work, and live concept. Where do older people like to walk year round? A mall. They have escalators. They have handicap accessibilities. Why not just put 55 plus living residences adjacent to these malls? It's going to happen. And it's happening. These paradigm shifts could occur in the commercial real estate economy, all of it in 2024. I think this is a major year shift in the entire industry of real estate, going from the real estate agent, who they are, to the title agent, to your lender, to your title company, to just the entire way of going about buying a property. Melissa, good morning and welcome. Brief overview of who you are, what you do, and thoughts to discussion this morning. Paradigm shift in 2024, what to expect for CRE and economy.
Hey, good morning, Clubhouse. Thank you for having me up, Joe. This is Melissa King. I am owner-operator of One Last Die LLC, virtual assistant here in West Michigan. I am a realty and office professional. I'm a licensed referral agent here in Michigan. So the news yesterday was quite shocking. I wasn't actually paying attention. My husband mentioned it to me, and I looked and I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I agree with you 100%, Joe. Long time coming. as a realty assistant, I've felt the local growers here have always held my license hostage. I've lost really good assistant positions because the locals, when they find out that I was licensed, they want me to join their group. And then I've got to spend thousands there, thousands for NAR. And I thought, why bother? I might as well become an agent, you know? So, but I like bookkeeping. So, and it's a good income stream as well as the others. So that it is going to be kind of interesting because I was looking to offer more transaction coordination to realty assistants. So that's going to be extremely interesting with the commission going the way of the dodo, I guess. I also wanted to make a comment about the malls going to commercial space. I've seen that happen here in West Michigan, even when I started in commercial over 20 years ago. So that it's another shift is extremely interesting.
Yeah, I've been seeing this going on for several years. These boutique malls are just becoming empty. I know Jamar down below was talking about the Monmouth Mall. I mean, that's been a pure sign of emptiness for years. I mean, finally they're waking up. They realize they're not bringing back retail. It's just not going to happen. You need to be very smart. I mean, Melissa, these corridors in these smaller these suburban settings, these little downtown, little niche little towns are doing unbelievable outside the major urban cities. I mean, I'm sure that's happening the same thing in Michigan. When I was in Western Michigan at that expo, all the little corridors were doing really well. They were flourishing. The major city inside where the convention was, it was quiet.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
And this is another thing that you're starting to see coming into 2024. More investors are just kind of controlling their own destiny. They're using all the leverage of all the online presences like Joe's. He basically just calls his realtor and says, "Hey, I want to go look at this property." The realtor's not that realtor now has to start working. They got to start saying, "Hey, Joe, I have some deals to show you," not the other way around. Or Joe can call anybody. Right? I mean, Melissa, right? I mean, like, why isn't that realtor looking up properties on that buyer agent's going to work a little harder now to keep their potential buyer list real, right?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I mean, and that's a reason why a lot of real estate investors just got their license anyway. They didn't want to pay the commission.
Well, I mean, where's your license held with, if you don't mind me asking, Melissa?
Oh, not a problem. It's with Acme Referral.
Okay.
North of Grand Rapids.
Okay, so you're just a referral agent for the most part.
I am, exactly. I pay $60 a year. I get my continuing ed with her free.
Yeah. I get it.
Yep.
You're seeing a paradigm shift even in the local RIAs. I mean, they're aging. They're not bringing anything new to the table. They're bringing these guys out and gals out that are teaching stuff that are 20 years behind the times because they're worried about making their bottom line. And we know what we're talking about here, the sell-a-thon. So I'm starting to see also these investor groups popping up that are really giving good substance of detail data for their clients. And you're seeing a better attraction to these smaller networking events. I was at a networking event in North Jersey. I was in one in Connecticut, one in Mountaintop, Pennsylvania, and one in Delaware. None of them were a RIA. And the average attendance was 60 plus people at each one of the events. There's telling me that, something's going on here where the newer investor doesn't feel like even the RIA is providing insight. So you're seeing a paradigm shift just from the RIA base. And then you got the real estate agent base. We have a RIA, in our local area where one of the guys on the board doesn't want any more realtors to come on board because he's worried about them being competition. I'm like, you should be worried about just having attendance. Don't worry about competition. There's just a weird shifting in the market right now when it comes to, the economy, what's coming out of COVID. I'm going to go back to Joe real quick. Joe, thoughts on our discussion that Melissa was bringing up, the RIA, the real estate agents. Are you gonna? Do you think these buyer agents are going to get a little more elbow grease going? What's your thoughts to this? And then what do you think these RIAs need to do to step up and get ahead of the game?
No, listen, I mean, yeah, the realtors are definitely going to have to step up their game to keep their business, right? I mean, you're always going to have the home buyers, the newbie home buyers that are going to lean on the realtors. But with this being front and center in the news, I think that and Google searching on a house, I think this is always going to be a top search when it comes to buying real estate agent. I think that people are going to start educating themselves. Um, and there's definitely going to be a paradigm shift when it comes to realtors being, hey, you need to have a buyer's realtor, you need to have a seller's realtor because we're looking out for your best interest. I think this negative publicity is not good as a whole for the real estate industry as a whole. So I do think that you're going to have some realtors that are just going to not make it, right? So, yeah, what was the second? The RIAs.
Yeah.
The RIAs need to step up their game. I mean, listen, there's some RIAs out there that don't do anything, and I don't understand why they even have a membership, right? I don't need to pay to go to a meeting once a month. Even AA is free, right? I don't need to pay to go to a meeting once a month to just hear a basic and a baseline speaker. But the RIA, specifically the one that you're mentioning, right, needs to look to step up its game, right? It needs newer ideas for the younger crowd. The sellathons aren't really that well attended anymore as they used to be, right? And I think as the shift goes, you need more creative ways, but there's a lot of free information that's out there, would be it YouTube, Instagram. I think these gurus that they so call themselves, who just give you generic stuff, and don't really have experience themselves. I mean, if you look at these gurus, what's the frustrating part is, right, majority of their business is selling the course.
Yeah.
So if they're real estate gurus, I don't understand why you would be more interested in selling the course if real estate's making you more money, right? And you can't tell me it's under the guise of, well, I like helping people. No. I mean, we're helping people every weekend here, Joe.
Yeah.
For free. And I think that we're providing a little bit more in-depth knowledge than these gurus. But you can buy a book for some of these people offering for thousands of dollars. You can buy a book for $30 and get the information that they provide, or get it for free through YouTube or Instagram, or networking through these real estate events that are free, and learn a lot more.
Yeah. It's funny. I did a major shift over the past year, Joe. As you know, I traveled, but throughout the country, I probably went to like 30 cities, right, this past year. And I weighed out the cost benefit to go more local, regional, and for the next 6 months, just to see what's going on. I'm going to be extremely selective of what events I want to go to outside of driving or taking a train, because there has to be a true cost benefit relationship. Some of these events, I mean, the sticker shock is amazing. I'm not going to name the event. So they have about 750 people coming to their event, right? I'm not going to say where it is. They want $5,000 as a vendor. I can meet 750 people just walking around and going to real estate offices and local events for the next 3 weeks instead of spending $5,000. Why do you think people or vendors is it desperation? Do they think they got to stay in the know from a branding perspective? I mean, like, what is it? Like, what is that diamond? And then we're going to go to Michael and get your thoughts, Joe.
What, to go to these events?
These big events. Like, I know you just went to another big event that was down outside the country, but you got a lot of cost benefit to that. You walked away with like relationship and insight knowledge. And based on what you spent, you got a massive return.
I did, and I built a lot of relationships out of there that I would now call somewhat on the road to friendship, right? Because I'm very careful on using that term friendship, as you know, Joe.
Even though I'm your best friend, right? And Michael is too.
So, no, so a lot of these events, especially when the ones that are gauged to the newbies,
Yeah.
I mean, are all sell-a-thons, right? And it's all about making money. And there's one website that we're all familiar with. I mean, we're trying to avoid saying names, right? So it's all familiar and it caters to the rookie, and it's not cheap to go to, right? And when you start looking at it, I mean, you're looking at the cost of the place for venue for me to go. It is $1,000 to $1,500 plus the flight there, plus the hotel. I got about $3,000 to $5,000 invested into this to go to a week-long seminar. When I went out the country for $2,500.
Yeah.
And I got a lot more out of it, and it wasn't geared towards newbies. So, you got to look at what these events are, and know if it's a money grab, or if you're really going to truly get something out of it, right? If you're going as a newbie, at least in my opinion, right? If you're going as a newbie and you're investing in Philadelphia and you're going to go to an event in Arizona, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you going to meet a lot of your local real investors there at that group? You're going to learn.
Yeah.
And what can be applied, because we've talked about it in a number of times on here. You've seen one real estate market. You've seen one real estate market, because they're not all the same.
Yeah.
You can't apply the whole logic to the same market. So, I mean, the benefit, I don't know if the benefits are there for a newbie. I mean, if you want to go and just trade information with people on how they're doing things, like the conference that I went to was specific towards landlords.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a strategy that's similar across the board, right? How do you deal with people? Of course, evictions are all different depending on where you're located. How do you market? There's all similarities there, and it's all specific interests. And, you're looking for people who have done this many years. How do you finance these buildings? How do you do all of this stuff? And you build in those relationships, which comes with and that information continues to flow with time. But yeah, you have to be careful on the events that you attend.
Yeah.
And if it's a money grab, then they're making money off of this, right? And if it's a money grab, then you need to go the other way.
So, talking about paradigm shift and talking about RIAs, talking about the NAR settlement, talking about where things are going from a economic perspective, Michael, you talked about 100 people a week, maybe even more with your dialer. What are you hearing? Are you hearing emerging trends that they're saying, hey, I want to invest into this with this type of money? Are you seeing people holding back? What's the mindset of the investor that you're talking to that at least has a mild inquiry to unsecured business lines? Are they looking at single family through four family with their money? Are they looking at 5+ units? Are they looking at fixed to rent? Are they looking at fixed to flip? Michael, what are you seeing with the calls that you're making? Because you're calling a lot of my clients that I'm sending over to MB. So what are you hearing from their mouth? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a bunch of different things, but for the most part, it seems most people are trying to leverage the money that's out there in order to acquire assets at this time. It seemed to be more of a scarcity mindset to acquire assets, and at the same time leverage other people's money. Is the biggest topic at hand that when I'm having conversations with your clients or anyone's clients out there in the field, they're not trying to spend their money, trying to hold on to their money so they can use that for their daily living, but they're still trying to leverage what they can out in this market to create opportunity.
Yeah. So, I probably send over about 50 to 100 leads a week to MB. Is it credit? Is it concern of the market? Is it rents? Is it the scarcity of real estate inventory to move forward? What do you What is the most relative item that you're hearing? Is it the scarcity of real estate inventory? Because I got clients that are finding properties all day long, so I don't see them having a problem. So
I don't think it's that they have the problem. I think it's more of like they want to use other people's money to acquire these assets during this time. They're seeing that there is opportunity out there.
Yeah.
But they're not trying to use their own money. Everyone's trying to leverage, the other funds that they can get access to. Even when it comes to like maybe they have to make some pay downs to get their credit to where it needs to be. They get a little bit scared off when it comes to that situation. And then we have to get maybe a little bit creative in moving balances before reporting dates to show less activity on the utilization side in order to get them those funds. People are scared to use their money right now.
Yeah, they don't think they're going to be able to replace it. They don't know where their next paycheck's coming. It's a concerning. And I had a couple conversations with newer investors, and a young lady, 700 plus score, has an LLC, owns a home, doesn't have any money to put into a deal. 740 credit score. So immediately, I referred her over to MB. I'm like, listen, you got to have $100,000 worth of reasons to get into this business. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like, why are you not setting yourself up? You're not going to be able to. No one's getting a property for no money down. That's all bullshit. Okay, that's not going to happen. Okay, very little idea that happening. I mean, listen, when you're buying something that needs renovation, or even if you're going to buy something now with like a subject to, you still need to pay somebody to get into the deal. There's still money that needs to be put into the deal. You got to have earnest money deposit. You need to have down money. You can't go in 100% financing. I just don't understand how these people exist that teach this snake oil. With such a paradigm shift that we're having in the economy, with the concern of livelihood and making a living, you're seeing the educational spinners coming back out of retirement to try to grab as much money from teaching courses and not actually physically doing deals. I mean, there's a huge amount of when there is chaos, there is absolute opportunity. And the trends that are reshaping our market right now, technology, secondary markets challenging the traditional popular locals, like the urban settings to the suburban settings, where suburban settings were drying up, they're flourishing. Okay? The multiple listing services need to become a source of truth for rentals and listings. Okay? A tale of two markets. What is really going on in our market or your market? Okay, understanding, going to zoning meetings, going to the community meetings, just not going to real estate investor meetings, finding out what's going on a real local level, and being that smarter investor to know what's going on. When's the last time you've gone to a zoning meeting in your market? You're supposedly an investor in your market. Why aren't you going to a zoning meeting to find out who's winning and losing? Melissa, some thoughts in regards to paradigm shift in 2024.
I love what you just said, because I'm meeting a local in Muskegon County to pick his brain. And I do have plans over the next month or so just to skip my local Monday night RIA meeting and start going to some zoning meetings. So I absolutely love that.
Well, I mean, you're also building up your team of potential service providers, right? Attorneys, zoning attorneys, eviction attorneys. I mean, going to a good eviction court doesn't hurt nobody to go. I mean, one, you're going to find some really pissed off landlords, but you're also going to find some very good eviction attorneys.
Absolutely. That is in my strategy completely. You got to get to know them. And just like you said, in chaos, that's where you need to go. And there's a lot of people here in Kent County that they're just like, they think Muskegon is some kind of death march. So that's where I'm going to go.
Well, to me, when you see the herd leaving, that's where the opportunity is to stay. Okay. I personally think so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's a unique opportunity.
Completely agree.
I'm just trying to see somebody. I don't know, somebody's trying to.
And I did go to Denver, and I had a great time out there. I did the bus tour. Even, Tim went through the homes that they rehabbed there. That was still a great eye opener for me that I can use that there. So if anybody has absolutely any opportunity, please do go to these events.
Yeah.
You get to meet the people that are here on Clubhouse. You get to learn. You get to meet new people. I also did. I hooked up with a couple of people who were interested in my services. So I think that's great.
I mean, I know they had about 100 people there. I could not be in attendance. I feel bad that I couldn't be there, but it is what it is. We do have a Philadelphia. Excuse me. We do have a Philadelphia event coming up, which on April 13th, which I'm very excited about. What we're doing with this, which is pretty unique, Melissa, I think you'll find this pretty interesting. We're bringing in all the not-for-profit organizations in real estate, all the smaller real estate investor groups. So now we've extended an invite to the local RIA, South Jersey RIA, but if they don't come, that's okay. I invited 8 other smaller investor groups throughout the South Jersey and Pennsylvania market because they're hungry. They're hungrier. Okay. And I actually gave them a complimentary table in lieu of just marketing to their database. Why not? Gives them recognition. 2, gives them a brand, and we're recognizing them as a presence in the market. So that's April 13th. I just posted it up. We are going to have a luncheon the day before and a happy hour for anybody registered. Maybe even a dinner that Saturday night, which I'm excited about, which is going to be right down the block from the Mummer Museum at the Moonshine Philly. We're actually having a happy hour there this Monday night for a client appreciation happy hour at 5:30. If anybody's in the area, please stop by and say hello. 5:30 to about 8. We're going to be there on Monday night. But we got Justin coming in here. Justin, good morning. How are you? Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Paradigm shift in 2024, what to expect for CRE and economy.
Hey, good morning, Joe. You know, you caught me. You caught me get in line a little bit further down, but it's all good this morning, man. By the way, I'm Justin Jefferson. I'm in the Southern Louisiana market currently, and I've done several fix and flips, getting into the building and new construction stuff now, and doing everything I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
doing everything. Okay, yeah, doing everything I can to right now currently to get some stuff going with Louisiana housing, just utilize what I have with that. So, as far as the paradigm shift in 2024, of course, a lot of people who are reading the articles put out by Zillow and the folks that just left the courtroom with their tail between their legs. I think, I think what they wanted to happen is definitely not going to happen, right? As far as interest rates, jumping right to the ground. It's just going to be another year for the strategist, right? This is going to be another year for people who really know how to pencil down their deals. I think we're at a place once again where it's very easy to miss something in your underwriting that could kill your deal or put you in a really tight spot. And so, and the reason I say that is not just on this front end with the interest rates. It's really the variability of the market, right? The unsurety of being unsure of how the pace of it is going to go, being unsure of how your consumers' pockets are going to look, whether that's for rent or whether that's if you're building or flipping something that's for to sell again for retail. I think you really just need to try to pay attention to patterns and stay in a really safe zone right now. That's what I think your shift into this economy needs to look like, and definitely take advantage of individuals who may be looking to get out of their situation as far as real estate investment, because there's usually a lot of opportunity there. And I'll just say this: one of the things I like most about buying a property from another investor is that they can kind of speak a language where there's not that barrier there of me trying to take something from you or me trying to get your grandma's house or anything like that. It's cut and dry. We can exchange information. Do they fudge it a little bit sometimes? Yeah, they do. But that's what your due diligence is for. And right now, like I said, my whole message this morning is due diligence is of its most importance. It's been essential, extremely essential for the last 2.5 years. But right now, going into 2024, and I think that's what we need to be kind of keeping our eyes on, Joe.
So you're in a lower barrier of entry down in the southeast, southwest market. I mean, are you seeing still a high influence of out of state landlording coming into space, or are you seeing that slowing down right now? Where are you seeing the movement in your space?
I would not say that I see a lot of landlords coming in here right now. I think it has slowed down. I think when you had for sure when you had like the corporate, we weren't big on having like the corporate buyers come here and buy up a bunch of stuff, but
Yeah.
a few of them did, right? And I think let's just talk about because I'm in Louisiana, we're kind of like at the bottom of the barrel, but the rent here is still pretty decent. So if your generic Texas, California people, they were still here. But right now, honestly, I feel like if you're an out of state investor, what you're looking at here in Louisiana is you're going to be looking at your multifamily or your affordable, specifically your affordable housing. And that's if you're willing to deal with and that just depends on where it's at. That's if you're willing to deal with it. So one of the things that I want to kind of start problems I want to kind of help solve down here is some of the lack of housing in these lower lying areas, like towards the Gulf, where they get the greatest extent of damage from the hurricanes. So rebuilding and doing some of the stuff out there, but having it funded by the government. So I think we're at a time where that's probably your safest spread is government work or government housing in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see some imperatives with the real estate players that are out there with this paradigm shift. You need to create solutions, not just physical spaces. You gotta be the solution solver. Okay, you need to stand out from that. That's very, very important. I think also using developments to generate momentum. Like, I'm very detailed in whatever I'm putting together, like whether it's our website for the creative bird strategies. Yardell and I are rolling out my personal website, hopefully tomorrow. Keep your fingers crossed. Rolling out a true branded event here in the Philadelphia market, welcoming other investor groups. Like, I don't feel like anybody's a competition per se. Finding value and creating opportunities through life cycles, right? Understanding what's going on in your market, right? I get a kick out of that, what I'll call them the Facebook legends. I know Joe and Mike and I talk about this offline. There's these legends that give their holier than thou opinions. You know what opinions are like. Everybody has one. You really need to stay focused in what you're doing in this market. Okay, you need to surround yourself with smart people. You got to embrace the opportunity, and not get caught up with the small stuff. You got to look at the big picture, right? You got to work it through. You got to focus on operating efficiencies, not just the income. So your operating efficiencies need to be sharp. Okay, I have one client that's buying several motels and converting them to multifamily. Did he make mistakes on the first one? Yeah, of course. Now he's on his fifth, and now it's just a process. He learned what to do and how to do it, and now he's getting these properties turned around in 3 to 6 months instead of 6 to 12 months. We had deeper discussions about, does he have the right property management in place for certain areas? Certain areas need more of a hands-on presence, to that market. We had a 20 unit in a certain market, I'm not going to disclose, that he had somebody doing the property management, but they were really not familiar with the market. They were not familiar with what was going on in that market, and they were causing massive delays. I needed to make that paradigm shift for him and put somebody that was very affluent and present in that market. Now he's back on track. Now there's some slight delays, but he's back on track. Thankfully, financially, he was able to sustain that. Joseph, what's your thoughts on seeing people that have learned from their mistakes. Is there something that you can think about that you've made a mistake on, but you were able to kind of catch up on it, and now you kind of do things a little different? Anything comes to mind as as a paradigm shift in what you do and what you're buying right now?
Listen, if there's one person that tells you that they never failed before, they never made a mistake, they're an absolute liar, right? And I can tell you that, yeah, I've made mistakes in investing. I bought a couple of houses in 2006 when the bank was giving money away for free. Right, 100% financing. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was the king of the castle. I bought a 2-family in Trenton. I bought a single family in Middlesex County, New Jersey. Plus, I had my house. And then the economy hit and everybody stopped paying rent. So I didn't have the resources that I needed. I didn't do the homework that I needed, right? I always focused on what the newbies usually focus on, all the good times. Nothing bad's ever going to happen to me. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way. So now I'm back to where I have 7. I'm working on closing on my 7th rental. And I move completely differently, right? I'll do my numbers. I'll do them 100 times over. I run through scenarios in my head in case I come across an issue where a repair comes in or there's some sort of disaster. Like, how would I handle it? What would go on? Not, you're always going to get surprised, but at least you have a baseline of a plan going on, so you're not really shocked, and you don't go into the situation happens, right? You just take it, your blood pressure doesn't go up, and you just deal with it. So yeah, I've been through it, right? And I've made mistakes and I move differently because of it. But I mean, I've made adjustments in my numbers to make sure that I have a nest egg, right? And God forbid something does happen. And what do my numbers look like if someone does move out or someone stops paying and the legal fees? Can I afford all of that? What's my cash flow like? So yeah, I absolutely do all of that to make sure that I'm financially sound.
Do I think we're going to see a soft landing in 2024? I really don't see that. I see the outlook on future trends a little bleak for the time being. It's very unlikely that the economy will come back roaring in 2024. So you could hear the concerns, such as Joseph providing some insight from a landlord perspective who manages his own properties. Um, I don't think the Fed's going to make massive, drastic changes. They would crush the banking system. What are you seeing, Joe, before we go to Michael, from the local bank perspective, the local credit union perspective? Are they still being aggressive, or are they being really cautious in who they're working with right now?
No, they're being really cautious. So, you know, I have a loan that's being quoted out by one of them, and it's waiting for a couple of days now for the CEO herself to take a look at it and look at the loan. So credit unions are extremely cautious on what they're doing. I mean, and so you as an asset-based letter, right? You're going through the numbers. You do it much quicker than a credit union, but you're going through the numbers and you're making sure that this isn't a property that's set up for failure. And as this commercial real estate unfolds, I mean, I think the money supply is going to tighten up with the commercial lenders, with the regional banks. So, and the credit unions really aren't going to get hit with that because they don't dabble in that type of stuff. But very few deal with the investment properties as well. So they're kind of well insulated from all of this stuff. But yeah, they are approaching with caution, right? The layoffs are out there, Joe. You mentioned it before. The job numbers don't say that, but the revisions do. But the layoffs are out there, and the economy is not in as good a shape as we're making it out to be. But it's election year, so things are crazy, right?
Yep. So consumer demand is just not there. American consumers are maxing out their credit cards. The U.S. labor market is weakening. More jobs will disappear soon. Employers are not hiring. So, what is the self-employed entrepreneur is looking at? So, Michael, what is the conversation you're having with the credit lines tying into the real estate investor who's really now your middle class self-employed entrepreneur? So what does that conversation look like now than when you first got into the industry 5-6 years ago?
It's completely different. I mean, we've seen rates when they were, I don't know, originally like in the fours, go all the way down to the floor and then skyrocket, and it threw everybody through a loop. But those that that were planning ahead of the time, saw it coming. Obviously, they were leveraged well enough to continue to do business. We did see a lot of people who were doing deals with us. On the investor side, this kind of disappear and fade off into the oblivion. But I mean, at this point in time, yeah, you're right. People are they have maxed out credit cards. They're working sometimes multiple jobs in order to sustain, especially on the lending side. I mean, you and I, we've been leveraging empty capital for a long time, but I see every loan officer coming out of the blue and trying to leverage, using MB capital for their clients. And I'm talking like on the residential side.
Yeah.
So they're saying, get the business lines of credit, put it in the bank account, let it be seasoned. So, I mean, you're seeing all kinds of creative things happen. Everyone's trying to do the best they can right now.
Yeah, I see the residential loan officer way behind the curve. They need to buckle up, okay, because they don't really see. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, I don't see a true recovery in the residential lending space for quite a while, at least a couple good years. And the irony is, they may claim that they do what we do, right? And they don't. They're regulated. They can't do what we do. So I find it like confusing because I don't think they really even understand the industry. Most good residential loan officers don't even know the difference between hard money, asset-based lending, and traditional lending. They don't even know that there's three lanes, and they don't even know about other smaller lanes that exist, like self-directed IRA money, true private money. They don't really understand what hard money is for and what it does. They think somebody with a five. I mean, I see it on Facebook. Hey, I need a hard money loan with somebody for 580. Yeah, it's called bankruptcy. Like what? Why are you trying to get a loan for somebody with a 580 credit score? Like why are you trying to get somebody a loan for 580 credit score? They should go to the bank of a bankruptcy. Like why are you trying to get the money? Like it doesn't even make sense. That means they obviously did not pay their bills. So why would you want to give them more money not to pay their bills? Like I just kind of like don't understand. Like I don't want to work with somebody below 660 credit score because the likelihood of failure is 100%. And I'm sorry if there's anybody listening in that has a below 660 score. I'm very sorry. Just fix it. Just fix your credit. Things will just be a lot easier from a lending perspective, from an investor perspective, a whole different perspective. All of it. Okay. We're not the Red Cross here. We don't cure cancer. We don't do open heart surgery. We're real estate professionals that are providing insight in understanding commercial real estate, residential real estate impact, economy. Melissa, some thoughts to what we're saying? I know you were laughing a little bit, but am I saying anything out of sorts, or do you think people are still unrealistic in expectations at some of the events that you attend?
No, I was agreeing with you 100%. Absolutely, Joe. I love your no bullshit attitude completely.
Well, it gets me in trouble sometimes, Melissa, but I've apologized to enough people. I think I've made up the difference slightly. But listen, I have no reason. Why lie? I mean, like, there's only so much time in the day. Like today, I got to catch up on 50 emails, probably 10 calls, and then I have to spend time with my wife and have some time together, right? Go to the gym.
Exactly. I'm in the same exact boat today. I'm trying to get some stuff done. I had to get on Clubhouse, and yeah, we've got to do something with the spouse today.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, so like it's like there's only so much time in the day. Why waste time with somebody that's not realistic? Like I took an application on somebody yesterday. The guy's been a broker for a long time, probably too long. His client has a 620 credit score. Supposedly he makes $250,000 a year. Why has he got a 620 score? Well, he got too high of credit lines. Well, then pay his credit cards off. No one's going to give him a loan. Why? What do you mean? So I'm like, my friend, he's got a 620 credit score. The likelihood of him refinancing or getting out of this deal is not going to happen. And the irony is he's buying it for like 37,000. The renovation's 100 grand. He's only done 2 rehabs in the last 24 months, neither comparable to what this type of project is. And this guy's talking to me like I'm an idiot. Like I should give this guy money. And I'm like, no, man.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is a monopoly, people. You have to pay attention to your income and your expenses.
Yeah, like,
it's just a fact.
Why am I taking on this responsibility of covering your ass because your credit's bad? So
exactly.
I just, guys, listen. We have a lot of things coming up at us right now to think about. You got this NAR settlement. It's going to change. It's going to change how real estate agents work, right? Which I think is going to be a good thing. I think you're going to see a major shift in the title work and how closings are going to get done. I think the appraisal industry is going to change as well, which I don't think is going to be a good thing, because the minute you don't have a physical person coming out to do an appraisal and they're doing desktop, you're losing 10% value on the property immediately. So I wouldn't go wishing for desktop or drive-by appraisals anytime soon, because I think that's going to work against them. I think you're going to see in the lending space, the asset-based lending environment take over the investment space almost by 70, 80%. I think the banks are going to take a step back because they're still licking their wounds with all the commercial real estate that they're trying to sustain or convert right now with their clients because of low occupancy issues. And I want to thank everybody this morning. This was a very strong room of discussion, talking about the paradigm shift 2024, what to expect. We don't know what to expect. We're just trying to give insight and thought to what we're doing here. We're here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. We now provide educational tools and worksheets for anybody that would like to email and inquire. We have great sponsors like Realty 411, MB Capital, Lenmar Capital, Abstract National, and Percatech. We now offer CE courses for licensed real estate agents nationwide, navigating asset-based lending. Or I think we might roll out one more course. I'm thinking about it, but I want to get the navigating of asset-based lending out there first. We're live on Apple and Spotify and Amazon. We're on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube Live. We've taken what Clubhouse has provided to us and have created a community. We're probably the only club that's here on Clubhouse that has all these factors. We're now also having live events. We just had an event in Denver. We had one this past year in LA, another one in Dallas, and now we have another one coming up in Philadelphia, April 13th. Love to see all of you there. Be great. You get to meet like Joe Martella, Mike D'Angelo, myself, and so many others. I'll call characters that we have here on Clubhouse. So again, I want to thank everybody for a wonderful Saturday morning. Please have a great one. And I always like to end a quote with our podcast. Pain is temporary. Quitting is forever. Everybody have a blessed Saturday morning. I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. See you tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.